Have you ever noticed how some people vanish for a while? Not because they're broken, not because they're angry, but because they've learned something rare: how to be at peace in their own company. While the world keeps talking, scrolling, proving, performing, they go quiet. They step back. They recharge in stillness. And from the outside, society misreads them. They're distant, they're cold, they're antisocial. But the truth is very different. People who love being alone aren't running from life. They're returning to themselves. They don't fear silence. They understand it. They don't chase attention. They build clarity. And in a world that never stops moving, that kind of calm is a superpower. So today, we're diving into the psychology of people who love being alone, why solitude attracts strong minds, what science says about it, and how this might completely change how you see yourself and others. This isn't about being shy. This is about building an inner world so solid that no noise can shake it. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Most of us grow up believing that happiness means connection, more friends, more messages, more presence, more noise. We're taught that silence is awkward, that eating alone is sad, that being by yourself means something is wrong. So we fill every empty moment with sound, music, podcasts, notifications, small talk. Not because we love noise, but because we're afraid of quiet. Yet, here's the paradox. The people who dare to be alone, not lonely, often develop the deepest clarity. Because solitude is not emptiness. It's a laboratory for the mind. Psychologists call it constructive solitude, time alone that leads to reflection, insight, and emotional regulation. Not withdrawal, calibration. Think about it. Every great thinker, artist, inventor, and leader spent long hours in solitude. Not because they hated people, but because truth speaks softly, and you can only hear it in quiet rooms. And yet, most people fear being alone. Why? Because when you're alone, there's nowhere to hide from your thoughts. No distractions, no masks, just you and your mind. Unfiltered, unedited, uncomfortable. But those who stay there long enough learn to master something most people never touch: self-awareness without applause. That's where the psychology of solitude begins. People who love being alone aren't detached from life. They're deeply tuned into it, just not addicted to noise. So what really drives them? It's not shyness. It's not social fear. It's self-regulation. Self-regulation is the ability to manage your emotions and behavior without needing an audience. People who enjoy solitude don't need constant stimulation to feel alive. They generate meaning internally. When they read, they reflect. When they work, they align. When they rest, they restore. They shift from external validation to internal orientation. Most people live asking, "What do they think about me?" But solitude changes the question to, "What do I think about this?" And that question opens a door. Because the moment you stop living to be seen, you start living to see. You notice patterns. You think before reacting. You choose based on values, not fear. This is why deep thinkers crave space, not to escape people, but to process what most people never pause to understand. They live with an inner observer, a part of the mind that watches thoughts like clouds, emotions like tides, behavior like wind. That's called metacognition, thinking about thinking. And when practiced, solitude becomes a teacher. You start seeing how emotions move, how desires form, how peace disappears when life gets too loud. Here's the irony. People who love solitude often develop the strongest empathy because they understand their own inner world first. So solitude isn't escape, it's education. It's where you learn the architecture of your own consciousness. And once you understand it, you walk through life with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout. Now, let's break down the 5 psychological pillars behind strong, solitude-loving minds. 1. Mental clarity, the power of the quiet brain. When you're always around others, your brain is in social mode, scanning faces, managing impressions, adjusting tone. It's exhausting. Solitude activates the default mode network, the part of the brain linked to creativity, memory, and insight. That's why your best ideas come in the shower, on walks, late at night. People who love being alone use this state on purpose. They sit in silence, walk without headphones, think without agenda. Not because they're bored, but because they're filtering signal from noise. Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from paying attention. 2. Emotional regulation, solitude as detox. We absorb emotions from others constantly. Stress, tension, anxiety. It's called emotional contagion. People who seek solitude step away to reset. They process emotions privately, sort through them, return calmer. This builds interoceptive awareness, sensing what's happening inside. That's why they rarely overreact. Solitude becomes their emotional reset button. 3. Self-dialogue, rewriting the inner script. People who love being alone think deeply. But healthy thinking isn't rumination, it's reflection. They question their beliefs, journal their thoughts, reframe situations. This builds cognitive reappraisal, choosing logic over impulse. That's why they're not easily manipulated by trends or drama. Their decisions come from thought, not noise. Solitude is a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. 4. Creative depth, why isolation breeds innovation. Creativity needs quiet. When the mind isn't distracted, ideas connect naturally. This is the state of flow, where time disappears and focus deepens. People who love solitude aren't afraid of boredom. They sit with it until boredom turns into curiosity. Every great creation started as a quiet moment. 5. Discipline and focus, solitude as a training ground. When no one is watching, your real character shows. People who thrive alone learn to structure their time, manage their energy, motivate themselves. This builds autonomous motivation, doing things because they align with your values. That's why athletes, writers, monks, and entrepreneurs embrace solitude. They know focus without distraction is sacred. Solitude isn't just peace, it's power, trained in silence. So when you see someone comfortable alone, you're witnessing balance, depth without ego, strength without noise, peace without passivity. They've learned how to stand still in a world addicted to movement. Their power doesn't scream, it radiates. So if you crave silence, if you love your own thoughts, if crowds drain you but stillness energizes you, don't apologize. Your mind might be tuned to a deeper frequency. Noise makes us aware of the world. Silence makes us aware of ourselves. And the strongest minds are forged in quiet rooms. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's preparation. Because peace alone means nothing unless you know how to live from it. And that is where your real power begins. Before we end today's story, please drop your country or city in the comments below so we can feel connected across the miles. If this story moved or inspired you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Daily Inspiration. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay inspired.